Good morning, everyone. We have some opening music for you from Dalton.
The love of God is here in every breath we take, fills us up with love and inspiration, fills us and surrounds us, meets our every need. It is our shining light and our salvation. The power of God is here in every thought we think, gives us strength and offers us direction. If I make the choice to listen for His voice and let His wisdom guide me through my deepest reflection, let it be easy, let it be easy. Relax, let go and trust the way is easy. Let your heart's desire be ignited by the fire. Your life is in God's hand. He'll make the way easy. Oh, let it be easy. So as the day is done, I bow my head to pray and know that God's the truth of all creation. The beauty of the stars as they shine on everyone, and suddenly I know no separation. I rest from all the cares and worries of the day. I know that in the darkness I'm protected. I feel His loving grace caress my smiling face, and deep within my soul I know we've always been connected. So let it be easy, let it be easy. Relax, let go and trust the way is easy. Let your heart's desire be ignited by the fire. Your life is in God's hands. He'll make the way easy. Oh, let it be easy. Oh, let it be easy.
Do I have an amen? Let it be easy. Dalton, that's just what we needed this morning because we're doing something very different, and we're very excited about it, and we know it's going to be easy and beautiful. So I'm Reverend Dr. Mary Mitchell. I'm one of the co-pastors here at the center, and we are a place where we inspire and empower people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. That's our vision, and I think we do that very well. Right now, we have practitioners in service today, and I know Sue and Charlie are here, and I'm here. And so if there's anything we can do for you after service or during the week, give us a call, send us an email. We're all here wanting to do spiritual mind treatment for any issue that you may have that's challenging. Right now, we know there's a lot of people watching at home, and we'd love to invite you to turn around and wave to them. Say good morning. We're all here spaced out and in masks, so we're sending you our love. Keep waving, okay. Thank you. That's great. I'd like to thank everyone who came here early to get things going. Lindy is doing our sound booth, and Dalton and Judy are here for music. Reverend Sue and Charlie and I came early to set things up. And Doug and Ronnie Herber are our greeters, ushers and greeters. We thank them for being here so consistently, which is great. And right now, if you are here and have any electronic devices, please silence them. You don't have to at home, but here we'd really appreciate that. Thank you. And if you're new with us today, here or somewhere out there, we have a welcome packet for you that has a lot of great information. You can come by and call and pick one up anytime. We think that that gives you a good idea of who we are, what we do, and what we stand for. We have some invitations going on to you. This upcoming retreat is called Pilgrimage of the Spirit. It's a one-day retreat with Reverend Sue and Reverend Dr. Andrea Azevedo, and it's Saturday, February 27th, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and it's for everyone. Men, everyone. It includes you. At first, I thought men might go, wait a minute, but I think it's going to be a magnificent opportunity for all people to get together. So it's going to be from Bellingham and from here. So if you register here, that's good. If you're out there and you're more affiliated with Bellingham, register with Bellingham. It's going to be a combined opportunity to share this retreat from our own homes because it's via Zoom. The price is $50, so you want to sign up, and you know what? There's no limit on Zoom. I was on a meeting the other day with 107 ministers from around the world, and it works really well if you haven't done Zoom before. Reverend Sue and Charlie are bringing a movie called Honoring the Sacred Earth. It's Intelligence in Nature. It's a Bioneers film by Jeremy Narby, and that will be Saturday, March 6th, 7 to 8:30 here in the sanctuary, spaced and masked as usual. And we're also very saddened to share that Linda Aldrich made her transition this week. She had been ill for a long time, but what an amazing person. She's been in our choir for years and just a great, dedicated spiritual soul. So she will be missed. On February 24th at 2 p.m., we will honor her here at the center. So if you would like to come spaced and masked and spaced distance. Anyway, come and join us in honoring Linda. Her family will be here. All right. We have a reading this morning, and I went online to see Gregg Levoy. He's written so many books, it's just phenomenal. So I got a piece from his book, The Calling. Thought you might like it.
Morning, everybody, and thank you for saying the title of that book, Mary. It says, from Gregg Levoy's book. What do you mean? So, it's written at the top. So this is from Gregg Levoy's book, Calling. How often in the course of a day, or a week, or a month, that is, do I find myself thunderstruck, flabbergasted at life, amazed at its finesse. Synchronicities are like glimpses of a wild animal seldom seen, the discovery of an arrowhead or a geode, the return of my wallet by some good Samaritan. Far removed from the mundaneness that seems to characterize such a vast portion of day-to-day living on Mulberry Street life, synchronicities help to reconnect me to awe, and given the tyranny of the commonplace, what a service. They also remind me that life is full of incredible possibilities, and that in order to live out some of the incredible possibilities in my own life, that I could succeed as a freelance writer, for instance, I might have to let go of a few of my cherished beliefs about how the universe operates, what is and what is not possible. Starting with the belief that life is presided over solely by mechanical cause and effect, a knee bone connected to the thigh bone principle, rather than by what in classical times were known as sympathies, some wink and a nod affinity between subjective reality and objective reality, some crosstalk between the conscious and unconscious, mind and matter, humanity and nature, all of which is governed by a certain species of gravity. A really first-class universe, says mathematician Rudy Rucker, must include a mixture of both sorts of patterning.
In this oneness of the world that we know to be true, there are amazing complexities. Just observing the activities in the world today are just amazing how the challenges are met by a desire to find answers. There are callings everywhere, calling us to trust the universe, calling us to trust our neighbors, trust our friends, trust that life is meant to be lived in happiness. So as one challenge is like this virus, as this one challenge is met by people all over the world, that in record time have created so many vaccines, we just honor the spirit within each one that dug deep into their subconscious mind, into their soul, to come up with answers to help all of us live a healthy and vibrant life. The complexities of the universe are to be held in awe, but also to be used in a spirit of brotherly and sisterly love for the greater good, the greater community, and for our super connection with God. I'm so grateful to see all this happening in my lifetime. So grateful for the intelligence that's out there, putting it together piece by piece, little inch by inch, moving along into the magnificence of life as we know it. So I release any fear, any concern, any worry. I know who's in charge, and I respect it. Infinite intelligence. Thank you, God. And so it is. You want me to do an introduction? Oh, okay. Gregg Levoy has written many, many books, and he explores life and how we might grow and evolve in uncertain times, and how we're called to evolve and grow at uncertain times. He said the coronavirus works on the same principle: add a little chaos to the system and see what happens in order to strengthen it, to help us all grow and evolve. So he brings that message to us this morning in his talk, The Call of the Coronavirus, and in his workshop to follow. So welcome, Gregg. We're glad to have you here. We are grateful for your time. Thank you.
GSL Reading folks, Gregg Levoy here, coming to you from Santa Cruz. I'm delighted to be able to share some thoughts with you here at the top of the new year, and after a year that we thought perhaps would never end, but also, of course, in the continued midst of tumultuous times, but also opportune times. I mean, for example, I myself, this past year, have finally found myself entering the brave new world of online teaching and presenting, which only took me 10 years and a plague to finally come around to doing. I love teaching. I've just always identified as a high-touch, low-tech kind of a teacher. So I've always opted for the in-person teaching opportunities, but that, of course, is all abruptly changed, as most of our lives have abruptly changed. I'm essentially in the business of public gatherings, lectures and workshops and conferences and retreats and stuff, and that has pretty much gone the way of the dodo bird this year and really will for the foreseeable future. And if you yourself are, say, a teacher of any kind or performer of any kind, or you work for a company whose doors have closed, you're also having to adapt, as I have. At least if we want to continue sharing our work with the world and perhaps making an income, all right? And at the risk of being blunt, nature has a pretty simple word for those who are unable or unwilling to adapt to change, and the word is extinct. And I think it goes as much for the individual as it does for the species, all right? And the pandemic is clearly calling on us to adapt. And for some people, say, the regime change in Washington is clearly calling on them to adapt. But to adapt is really just another way of saying to grow, okay? So some of you may be familiar with the name Abraham Maslow, okay? Maslow is the psychologist who gave us the hierarchy of needs pyramid, okay? At the bottom, food, clothing, and shelter. A little bit above that, belonging to a tribe, etc. At the top, self-actualization. Although right before he died, actually, he added a new pinnacle to that pyramid, and he called it self-transcendence. But this is what Maslow said about self-actualization. He said self-actualizing types, so these would be the people who tend to fulfill their potential, also tend to be the kind of people who make the growth choice over the fear choice routinely, okay? Now, Joseph Campbell, who of course gave us the hero's journey and the bumper sticker, "Follow Your Bliss," said that phase one of responding to a calling, which of course is the beginning of any hero's or heroine's journey, phase one is running from it. Okay, it's fear and resistance and maybe anger at having your boat rocked, which of course callings specialize in, all right? Though it's quite possible that the degree of resistance you might have to whatever this pandemic year has been calling for from you, including the political upheavals, may be proportionate to the amount of growth and power waiting to be unleashed once the no turns into a yes, okay? But the pandemic, for instance, has been offering us an AP class, a graduate level class in boat rocking, all right? As well as, of course, in adaptation. And humans have actually proven themselves to be extremely good at adaptation, okay? Now, a vaccine has finally shown up for the coronavirus, but it is based on the following wisdom, which is really the basis of the entire science of immunology, and that is that you introduce a little bit of chaos into the system to strengthen it. You shake it up for the sake of helping it grow and evolve, all right? And I think that the chaos of this pandemic year has the potential to do the same thing. In fact, I think it's interesting that in the central creation story in the Western canon, which is Genesis, chaos with a capital C is described as the condition of the earth before it was formed. Now, what I take that to mean is chaos precedes creation. Chaos precedes creation. And if you deny yourself the one, you're going to deny yourself the other. Okay? Reminds me of something Red Fox once said. Remember Red Fox, the comedian who starred in Sanford and Son? He once said, "Heroes are not born, they're cornered." Which I think is a brilliant observation. So one way to approach this pandemic year, one of the purposes it can serve, in other words, is in exploring how your life might grow and evolve as a result of it. What the chaos in the coronavirus might be calling for from you, creatively, professionally, interpersonally, of course, spiritually, all right? It's really an opportunity to take an inventory, to step outside and look back in through the shop window at your life. How are you responding to this past year? What are you discovering about yourself? Where are growth and creation being evoked? Or as the case probably is, provoked, all right? And I think it's useful to consider these questions in a personal context, not just a planetary context, all right? So it's not so much what is this calling for from us, from humanity, but what is it calling for from you personally, all right? And to consider these not from a philosophical point of view, like what is the ultimate purpose of all this? How might this be a reset for humanity? But again, how might it be a reset for you personally? And to ask yourself questions along the lines of what is trying to emerge or awaken for you at this juncture, all right? What has been given an unexpected entrance cue? What course corrections are being called for? What silver linings are appearing, for that matter? And of course, what do you want your new normal to look like once the pandemic is in the rearview mirror? Okay, so let me give you some examples of the kind of questions I've been posing to myself this past year, and frankly will be in the webinar this afternoon, all right? I'll give you one example. Science tells us that an asteroid ushered out the dinosaurs and gave the mammals underfoot, including our forebears, a shot at prominence. Okay, so using that as an analogy, when the dinosaurs, if you will, of the status quo are sidelined, which they have been, I think, for most of us, parts of us that are normally overshadowed are going to have a chance to come out into the light. All right, give you an example. I've got a friend who owns a retail store, and he said that because he doesn't have any customers coming through the store anymore, though he's in it Monday through Friday, he's doing the online part of his business, but because he doesn't have customers coming through anymore, he's discovered that this is actually a tremendous relief after all these years, and that he's more of an introvert right now than he knew himself to be. In fact, that his reputation, his identity as Mr. Social doesn't actually fit him anymore. And so now he's taking some time to explore this more introverted side of himself, okay? So you might ask, what, if any, parts of yourself are you noticing coming out into the light in this past year? What are you discovering or rediscovering about yourself throughout all this? All right, here's another question. Shakespeare wrote Macbeth, King Lear, and Antony and Cleopatra during a plague. Sir Isaac Newton discovered gravity and invented calculus while in quarantine for the bubonic plague, okay? I myself have, at the risk of putting myself into the same sentence with Sir Isaac Newton and William Shakespeare, I've discovered that the pandemic has actually been one of the best things to hit my writing in years, because among other things, it's given me a tremendous focus for my work and a lot of very juicy and compelling topics to sink my teeth into, okay? Now, this is not to in any way diminish the misfortune that a lot of people have experienced as a result of this pandemic year, but it's quite possible that the sudden disruption in your daily rhythms, if not the isolation, could be a boon to your creativity, your resourcefulness, your inventiveness in ways that would not have happened otherwise. So you might, I'm not saying, of course, that you're going to, discover any fundamental laws of the universe or write the next Macbeth, but you might just finish that novel you've been daring and double daring yourself to write forever. You might take up the guitar, you might start a garden, you might finally get around to some of those home improvement projects you've been backburnering in deference to the daily grind. So you might ask, what, if any, however modest, bursts in creativity and resourcefulness have you noticed in yourself as a result of the demands of this past year? Okay? And here's one more question. Some people think that the pandemic is just a biological event. It's just an organism wanting to reproduce. Okay? There's no master plan at work for these people. There's no grand scheme of things. There's no nature sending us to our rooms to think about what we've done. Okay? Which is, of course, one of the memes that's been making the rounds throughout all this. That this is just predation. It's not punishment. Okay? And then there are those who genuinely believe that this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Okay, this is the beginning of the great turning, right? The new consciousness, the very long hungered for reset for humanity, okay? And to be sure, there's lots of opportunities in this past year for the spiritual optimists, okay? Lessons to be had in unity and interconnectedness and compassion and service and reaching across the proverbial aisle, to say nothing of non-attachment, okay? So to whatever degree you resonate to the second line of thinking, that there's greater meaning and purpose, maybe even a lesson to be had in all this, what do you imagine that would be for you? Again, not for humanity, but if all of this year has unfolded to offer you a lesson, what do you imagine that might be? Okay, so an interviewer once reportedly asked Albert Einstein, of all the questions you've posed into the mysteries of the universe, Mr. Einstein, what do you think is the most important question to ask? And Albert Einstein reportedly said, is the universe a friendly place or not? Now, how you answer that question is going to impact, if not determine, how your life unfolds. I mean, how you're going to interpret and respond to the things that happen to you, including events like the pandemic or the political upheaval, okay? So, you've heard people use the expression, trust the universe. Trust the universe. I've been thinking about that phrase a lot lately, as I frankly often do during challenging periods in my own life. But I've been trying to drill down into it a bit more this time. And I've been wondering, what exactly does that mean, to trust the universe? What does that mean? What aspects of the universe are you trusting when you say you trust the universe? And is this a skill? And if so, is it one you can build? Okay? So, now this, of course, goes by a lot of different names. And frankly, it has a noble lineage. Let go and let God. Trust the process. Have faith. Don't push the river. thy will be done, okay? But the definition of trusting something is believing in its reliability, all right? So right off the bat, there's a catch here, because the universe is certainly reliable. I mean, the sun comes up, the sun goes down, gravity works, etc. But the universe is also reliably unpredictable. I'm thinking, of course, of chaos theory, or Murphy's Law, or the law of entropy, or the famous shit that happens. So saying that you trust the universe has to include trusting both, okay? That it is both reliable and unreliable. That the universe is also chaotic and random, which of course, these are forces that operate on affairs down here on the home planet, which of course we've seen in extremis this year, especially early this year, all right? And they also operate in your own individual life. So saying that you trust the universe has to mean that you trust it to be itself, essentially, which is a combination of random and not random, and that you yourself will pretty much behave in a similar fashion, okay? Now this requires what I once heard somebody describe as heroism rediscovered for the modern age, redefined for the modern age, which is the ability to tolerate paradox, okay? To hold to seemingly contrary ideas or impulses or energies or beliefs inside you at the same time and still retain the ability to function, okay? If not, hang on to your cookies and your marbles and your lunch, okay? And paradox requires that you bring these seemingly opposing energies together to talk to one another, okay? To talk to one another. Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings, once said, "It doesn't do you any good to leave a dragon out of your calculations if you live near him," okay? So it's like that. And so the purpose of trusting, so let's put it this way, trusting the universe and maybe even finding some meaning and purpose in this or any particular manifestation of it, meaning in this case the pandemic year, for instance, really may ultimately come down to staying in conversation with the universe, staying in conversation with it, in co-respondence with the universe. And really, I think there's lots of ways of doing that. Dialoguing with the dragons in your life, okay? Asking for dream guidance, listening to your body, trusting intuition and synchronicity, spending time out in the natural world, meditation, journaling. I mean, journaling really is a beautiful way of staying in conversation with the grander scheme of things. I'm thinking of something that Ira Progoff once said. Progoff is like one of the grandfathers of personal journaling. He's devised something back in the 1960s called the intensive journaling process. And he said that the purpose of journaling is to go down deeply enough into your own well that you eventually hit the stream that's the source of all the wells, which I think is beautiful. And so therefore, a perfect tool for being in conversation with the universe, with the bigger picture, the deeper picture, the higher picture, all right? As well as just feeling your way through events like the pandemic or the political turmoil lately, okay? Now, one of my own responses to the pandemic year we've had and to the financial anxiety that it's brought on is to rearrange my morning routine to now include an act of trust. Not just an abstract notion of it, but an act of trust. So what I'm doing now is among other morning routines, I'm playing 15 or 20 minutes of piano before coming in here into the office to work. And I'm partly doing this to demonstrate to myself that I can afford the time to do that. Okay? So an act of trust, not just a high opinion I have of myself. All right? In fact, really one of the diagnostics that I use anymore to know whether I am, pardon me, trusting the universe is when I make counterintuitive decisions like that. When I respond to fear, say, with surrender rather than striving, or I make I choose passion over security sometimes, or I make the growth choice over the fear choice, or I try to allow things to happen rather than always trying to make them happen. Make money, make a living, make ends meet, make headway, make a difference, make sense, make love, more allowing, all right? So ultimately, so in other words, so trusting the universe may ultimately come down to being less of a practical issue or a psychological issue as much as a spiritual issue, all right? It may not necessarily be about strategizing or coming up with new affirmations or behavior mod, all of which are great ideas. But it may ultimately be a matter of sitting respectfully with things as they are, which I grant you is a high art, especially in the midst of turmoil, but sitting respectfully with things as they are. Feeling what you feel without even needing to understand it, no less do something about it. And of course, I think having a certain forbearance for mystery, the ability, the willingness to hang out in the dangle and not know, all right? And mystery not just out there in the universe, but in here, in our own individual lives. So in closing, I would humbly encourage each of us to answer Einstein's question. Answer Einstein's question for yourself. Is the universe a friendly place or not? And to explore maybe why you believe it either is or is not a friendly place, all right? And I'll also mention that the webinar this afternoon from 1 to 4 is a very hands-on opportunity to explore what this whole tumultuous year may be calling for from you and moving forward as well. All right, so I hope you'll join us. And thank you so much for inviting me back to share some thoughts with you. And I'm going to sign off now. And I wish each and all of us blessings.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. The thing I appreciated most is his exuberance, his enthusiasm, his excitement about all the callings that are calling all of us during this time and in the future. I know some days it's maxing me out at the callings that I'm getting, and okay, can I really do it? Yes, I can. With Spirit as our guide. So I'd like to check my list here. I'd like to thank you for all offerings that you're giving. We close the end of the year receiving more pledges and plate donations than we planned. That is an amazing tribute to everyone who supports this center. I mean, it's amazing. So we're really, really grateful for that. And any offerings you have the beginning of this year, I know Paul and I tapped our IRAs because you get a tax break if you do that. And so we were happy to do that. And looking forward to a really good year here at the center. When it may be July, it may be August, when we can actually give each other a hug. I'm looking forward to that. And it's going to be good. It's going to be okay. So yes, I trust the universe. And I hope you do, because it was built on the love of God, the laws in the universe, but most importantly, the love of the one. So if you will repeat with me 2 times, stand up, jump up, whatever feels good for you. that there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. All right, try it again. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. So as a closing affirmation, gratefully we give with an attitude of abundance, for we know as we give, we do receive. And that's the truth. So Dalton, if you would like to close us out with some beautiful music, we really appreciate you being here today, and Judy being here, and all of you, because I may not see your smile, but I can see your bright eyes. And hope you really enjoy the workshop with Gregg.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, 'cause it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new. And God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Oh, yeah.
And if we're still on, Lindy, anyone who would still like to join the workshop, please email Reverend Sue immediately, and she'll give you the Zoom password and how to get in that. And it's Shanti, SHANTI, ANANDA @hotmail.com. So good luck.